In 1978, a child was born. But not just any child, it was the first human egg, and his name is Humpty Dumpty. He was raised up by his mother and started life just like an ordinary child.
When Humpty was a young boy, he never really fitted in at school, being the only human egg. He never really had many friends because, he was so fragile and the other children didn't want to play with him. Humpty was more into games like chess, things like that, things that didn't include physical contact. But I saw so much more potential in him. There were so many careers that he couldn't really do because he might end up getting hurt, so I had to find what was best for him. So I contacted the nearest drama school and the teacher saw the same potential in Humpty that I did, and he said that Humpty was going to be a star. At first Humpty didn't really enjoy it, but with a little gentle persuasion he came round in the end.
Even before he was 10 years old, Humpty was used by the media to advertise almost everything related to eggs.
Before we knew it, Humpty was asked to star in loads of adverts and the phone just wouldn't stop ringing. His success was going through the roof. He was on the front page of every magazine and newspaper.
It was incredible. I was just amazed by how quite famous I was becoming so quickly. Everyone seemed to love me. I don't think there was an egg-related advert without me in it. I really have my mum to thank for my fame. We've always had a close relationship. It was her who pushed me to succeed in life.
Do I feel like I forced Humpty to seek stardom? No, of course not. He wanted to do it, really.
That was probably the worst day of my life. I was sitting on a wall in a construction site minding my own business, and all of a sudden I was pushed.
Then, in 1996, a terrible event occurred, an event no one would have ever expected.
I was so lucky that Elvis impersonator found me broken on the floor. If he hadn't found me, who knows, I might not even be here today. 7 weeks I was in that coma. No one noticed. Not even my own mum.
But no one had any idea that Humpty was in a coma because he was mysteriously still appearing in advertisements. How?
My memory was returning. I turned on the telly and saw another human egg doing my advertisements, living my life. I couldn't believe my eyes. No one seemed to realise that it wasn't me.
Over time, people were noticing changes in Humpty.
That imposter was giving me a bad name, doing loads of horrible things. When my mother told me that he was my twin, I was shocked and angry, but happy I wasn't alone anymore. And there was another human egg. Why didn't my mum tell me before?
It was quite hard at the time. Obviously, Humpty had never met his dad, and there was a lot of explaining to do. The boy's father and I, we separated at their birth, and he took Greg, and I'm sorry, it's hard to talk about Greg, and I took Humpty, and the boys had never met each other because when their father had moved away, he hid Greg.
I strongly disagreed with what their mother was doing. That's why I self-schooled Greg, so the world wouldn't get its grubby hands on him and he didn't have to face the abuse.
How did Greg find out about Humpty? Well, he was 18 and he'd never set foot outside the house before. His view of the world was seen through his window, through pictures. Well, naturally, he became curious. So one day when I was asleep, he sneaked out. Well, he didn't get beyond the bottom of the row before a child asked him for his autograph, mistaking him for Humpty. So I explained everything to him, and he wasn't happy.
Eventually, all my memory returned, and I remembered it was Greg. It was my very own brother who pushed me. He was jealous of all the fame I had. He wanted it for himself. I was so angry. And Greg ruined my life. I couldn't take the abuse or the scandal anymore, so I approached my brother. I wanted revenge.
Then something happened, an event that shocked the world.
Do I regret what I did? Yeah. He was my twin brother. Now I'm the only human egg. Again.
In 1997, Greg Dumpty fell off a wall. He was only 19 when he died.